in. Welcome to another candidate conversation, Fhionna. Excited am I to be here.
Yes, I am so excited to be here too. I have a lot to learn from these two gentlemen this evening, that's for sure.
That is Commissioner Greg Rush and Scott Hawkins, his opponent for the August 27th runoff, and that is Tuesday, August 27th. We want to make sure everybody in the county gets out and votes. And District 2, if you live in District 2, you're going to be voting for one of these two gentlemen that we get the privilege of talking to tonight. Commissioner Rush, how are you?
I'm very good.
How about you, Scott Hawkins?
I'm doing just fine.
Good. If you don't mind, we're going to shorten those to Greg and Scott. Do I have your permission?
That's fine.
Okay. Fhionna, you're being a young voter that you are. What kind of questions would you ask a county commissioner if you were going to ask them about their job?
If I was going to ask a county commissioner about their job as a young voter, I would say, one, how do you affect me? So what do you vote on, or what do you have impact on that directly affects my everyday life? And I guess my follow-up would be, why would I vote for you because of that?
So we will start with Sitting Commissioner Greg Rush. Greg?
Okay. We affect everyone's lives in the county through emergency services that we have to provide for everyone throughout the county, not only just my district, but transportation. We have to provide roads, streets, bridges, a safe passage of travel, for to and from work. From the health department, if you have to use the health department for their services, we budget and fund their departments. Our drug task force, all of our emergency services affect all of our people. And for you to vote for me, I think if you can just look at my pattern, or how would you say it, my achievements that we've done in the last 13 months. We've made a few changes in the way our county, my District 2 hired hands operate and do things. Our roads and bridges are getting better. Of course, we're kind of a lucky county. We've got enough funding to provide some better services than our neighboring counties do. But I think if you just look at my track record and the experience that I have to offer the people, I think you would support me and vote for me.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for the insight. And
Yes,
Scott Hawkins.
Sure. So a lot of people think about the Office of the County Commissioner as just being the road grader or fixing a pothole. But in reality, the Commissioner's office is a lot more important than that. It's more about every service that the county receives, from policy from employees, assessing your taxes, collection of taxes, law enforcement services, fire, maintaining policies, writing grants, you name it, the county commissioner's office is involved in it. Without the decisions that the county commissioner's office makes on a daily basis, and definitely on a weekly basis in our meetings, each citizen in the county is actually affected by those decisions. Whether we spend money wisely in our economic development, we utilize our tax fund for special projects, and not so much just inside the county government, other entities that may be wrapped up in there, like the Child Advocacy Center. That entity was basically on its face, and without the county commission coming in and seeing the importance in that, hiring a person to fill that role, and then funding that on a contractual basis, to get it off the ground. Those are all vital services, right down to our senior citizens programs within our county. I think a vote for me, you'd get the 20 years of experience wrapped inside all of that experience within those offices and the collaboration within those offices, and definitely on the grant writing side. I think I added it up the other day. I think I'm at $757,000 in grants just in the last, from 2012 on. All those grants. The VAWA grant provides a victim advocate in our sheriff's office. The Violence Against Women grant that we've had for over 12 years. I had a direct hand in managing those. Our Safe Oklahoma grant that it funds our deputies, OLET's Access, which runs vehicles for stolen property, driver's license, and so forth. Technology, Homeland Security grants for your cameras, for your investigators, body cameras in the past, radios that all the deputies have out there. Emergency management is the same thing. We kind of helped each other along the way to get those grants. So with that, you're going to get a lot of experience building our county government website, making us more transparent, getting us on a .gov, and everybody using government issued email addresses instead of their private email addresses that had gone on for years. Almost my whole entire career, it changed back in June of last year. I'm all about transparency, and that's what you're going to get if you vote for me.
Very good. Thank you, Scott. Greg, Scott being in a part of the sheriff's department, part of the county for the last 20 years, what about your background? Where do you come from? What does your last 20 years look like that you feel qualifies you for city commission or for county commissioner? I apologize.
Well, I've grew up in the family business and now have a chance to, well, I've owned it since 2008. I have a lot of experience in the tax reports, our fuel reports, our special fuel tax reports, and budgeting. We've had been a family business. We really have to watch our budgets real close. I've been here since 1981. I graduated high school and went to work for my parents. Got lots of experience here. Raised on a farm. Got a lot of farm experience with heavy equipment. And, you know, my driveway is 3/4 of a mile long. And I learned how to work on roads years ago by just trying to maintain our own driveway. And it's worked into operating more heavy equipment from my neighbors to mine to friends of ours. And I've got a lot of experience in big equipment, in the repairs of the equipment through our own business, repairing trucks. I can get in and get my hands greasy just like the mechanics can, or I can operate the equipment. Recently, I've been out on the dozers and the excavators helping the guys finish up and complete some jobs that's been open from the previous commissioner. And we're finally getting caught up on some of those jobs. I've got a lot of experience that it requires, you know, from the county commissioner, out in the field and in the office. Like I said, I've got a lot of experience as my budgets and working with people. I've dealt with people all my life. I've seen a lot of people come and go, because I was in that truck for 41 years dealing with, you know, my customers. But I have a good sense of people when I visit and talk with people. I can really understand their concerns, and I communicate with them well. So, you know, I feel like I have served the county well for the last 13 months, and I really want to continue serving them.
Thank you. Now, Fhionna, you learned a lot right there about what these guys can do, didn't you?
Yes, county commissioners, I'm learning the most about you all out of all of them. This city government and county government is so complex, and the county commissioners are individuals that I definitely are. I'm just, there's so much that falls under your umbrella, and it's so interesting for sure. So yes.
I am glad you said that, Fhionna, because there's some differences that I've noticed between county government and all the other governments that I'm used to, like city government, state government, and even the federal government. Scott, we'll start with you. Could you tell us what some of those differences are that you have noticed in a county government as opposed to city, state, and federal?
Well, obviously, you have state representatives, senators, and the governor at the state level, and it's a fairly lengthy process to get legislation and so forth passed, which is great checks and balances. I mean, I love everything to do with it. I've watched live sessions, been to the state capitol many times over my career. City government is a unique animal. You have your city ward commissioners, and it seems like, I mean, you also have a mayor, and there's different versions of a mayor, I've learned. I heard the term weak mayor used. All the nitty gritty of the ins and outs of that position, I'm not really sure of. But what I am sure of is that you have a city council, and it's a multi-person board versus you have no mayor for the county government. You only have 3 sitting county commissioners, and they make a majority of the decisions that affect each and every one of you on a weekly, daily basis. So it's very unique compared to the other 2. Even tribal governments are kind of similar to state, government in a way. But I'm very familiar with that too.
Sure. In the last 13 months, Greg, have you noticed, it seems that you guys as a government can act pretty quickly as opposed to many others that seem to take a longer process to be able to get something done?
Yes, from the state capital to the county, the state's a lot slower. Of course, we know that, but we can act pretty quickly, and we're lucky to have the funds in Pottawatomie County to act quickly on something that needs to be taken care of. And even lower into the rural cities, rural townships, they all struggle from time to time for funds. We have interlocal agreements where we work with each one of the cities. We understand what they have to deal with every day. But the residents from our districts, they understand that they can come to us and we can respond pretty quickly. We are the 3 governors of the county, and I feel like we've responded really well, and we'll continue to do that. But there is a big difference between the counties and state and our cities. But I'm really proud to be part of the county in the way we treat our people, the way we try to respond to them, with funds or programs or whatever it is we need.
And we welcome Enoch Shaughnessy to the show. Look at that, Fhionna.
Say hello, Enoch.
Hello. How are you?
For
We're
those
talking to you. Are you on the phone with us?
earlier, Fhionna is actually out of state at her brother's, and that is her nephew, Enoch, who just got a little sister, Eleanor Rose Marie. So, Enoch Alexander Paul, we are glad you are with us. Greg, you have mentioned a couple of times now that our county has money. Can you help us understand why our county has money that other counties don't have the luxury of receiving?
Yeah, Pottawatomie County is just like any other county. We get our what we call our 308 money. It's our state revenues from fuel taxes to gross production taxes. We get that just like any other county. But Pottawatomie County has a 1 cent sales tax that goes directly to the county, and we have a 0.495 cent tax, a total of 1.495. The 495 goes to the schools. It's split up I think it's split up according to the number of students in the school. But the 1 cent sales tax helps us with everything in the county, from roads, bridges, to emergency services, to economic development, to golly, there's a lot of things that's on that list. But we're real fortunate. Just in my district, The 1 cent sales tax creates an average of about $170,000 to $180,000 a month that goes towards my budget. That other counties don't have that. And that kind of sets us apart. And when I've sat around and visited with some of the other commissioners from the other counties, we talk money, we talk budgets, and we get to talking about what we've been doing or what we can do, and they're looking at me saying, "Well, we don't have that kind of money. We can't do that." We are super fortunate that our residents, our county people have supported this program. So now we can turn around and support them, give back to the people as much as we can.
Yes, so it was a special election, a special vote by the people that provided the county, our county, Pottawatomie County, with more money than most other counties have, or many of the other counties have per capita in the state. Scott, you had mentioned quite a repertoire of grant funding. Why do we still have gaps like that need grant funding, and what helps you to be able to locate the grants that you think would be most beneficial to the county residents?
Well, bottom line, it comes down to being knowledgeable about where to seek that grant information out. There are numerous different revenue streams from the federal government, state government, that are available, and just being able to pick that out and apply for it. And I tend to apply for more grants that you don't have to supply any money. So it's 100% funded or percentage funded. We have a lot of gaps in Pottawatomie County in services. We, butt up next to Oklahoma City. We have, thankfully, quite a bit of tribes in our county government, or our county, that bring in business and tax revenue, and citizens from the state of Oklahoma and outside the state. So we have a high demand for different types of services for victims and so forth. We don't have a big, huge budget for equipment. Thankfully, the Department of Homeland Security has funds available pretty freely, actually. They have a supply list of things that we can apply for, and as long as we express a need for that, we're more likely going to get awarded for it. The Department of Environmental Quality, we've had that grant for a number of years, and I've been very fortunate to be able to, write that and supply at least a part-time person to go out there and clean, dump sites up. Our county is riddled with trash being dumped on a daily basis, and we were just dealing with, mattresses and things dumped out up there at Bethel Road down by the school. And right now we don't have it, and I wish we could fund it full time. If I could find some grant money to do that, I would definitely put that position in place.
Yeah, that's important. The county roads and how they look in those ditches. Yeah. Commissioner Rush, Greg, how do you determine where to spend that money? I mean, there's some, I'm sure, that is, that you have to spend in certain places, but how do you decide what roads are done and what roads are not done in your district?
There's several factors that go into it. Of course, how much money we have available after, to be able to work with, but population, the amount of travel that's on a certain road, and the conditions of the road. We want to try to keep everybody, or their roads that are county roads passable for emergency services. That's our number one factor. But all those things together, the funding to start with, how many people live on the road and how many people use the road, how much that road is used for emergency services. All that goes into in consideration on what gets done. I would like to be able to go out there and do every county road we have with, a hard surface, whether it's oil and chip or pavement, but we don't have that much money in our county to do that. So we do have to kind of pick and choose, and I understand that not everyone's going to be happy with the choices that we make, but we try to do our best to, get the major roads taken care
Well,
of.
one thing, Scott, that you had mentioned is the county government. There's a lot of different pieces, and so Fhionna, all of these different pieces of the county, they all work together. And I'd like to know how you guys plan on working together with the court clerk, with the DA's office, with the election board, with the county treasurer, with the county clerk. I know I'm missing the sheriff, and there's probably more, but there are so many different, like those are all led by their own clerk or by their own sheriff or by their own leader, but yet you guys still have to give some leadership into those entities. Scott, how would you plan on being able to work together to make that unit stronger than it is now?
Well, number one, each elected official is their own boss in our county government. So being a county commissioner, I mean, you're going to have to be willing to work with all those elected officials and respect their boundaries, respect their needs, be an open door, an open-minded person, be willing to work with them and compromise where you can. Do what you can in the best interest of everyone. And that has been pretty successful over my career there at the county government. Seeing these county commissioners and all these elected officials actually having sit-down meetings, stopping in, a county commissioner stop into that individual office on a regular basis and just ask how things are going. Make sure people have contact information. Let them know that you're there and reach out to you anytime they need something. And with that, I think, building those strong relationships or those existing relationships, that you can accomplish anything.
So, Greg, how do you feel that you've done in building relationships over the last 13 months? And what are some of the challenges that you faced but were able to overcome working with the other elected officials?
Well, communications is the like Scott said, is the best thing. You got to be able to communicate with all your elected officials. As far as working with them, gaining their trust, that they can come to me and say, hey, we need this in our department. Can we get extra funding for this? Can we do this? We've supported the assessor's office with, I believe they call it pictometry. They needed more funding to do some of that for the assessing of properties. Our court clerk, they've been stuck in a pretty small space in the courthouse. We've been working with them. We're going to expand down into the next lower level where the assessors and the clerk used to be. We're changing all that up. So, we work with all the elected officials. We even work with the sheriff's office when they come to us, say, hey, we've, just like these cars that they use every day, we had to replace those. So, you got to gain trust with each other. And it's been really rewarding for me in the last 13 months to get to know all these elected officials and work with them. And I hope I can continue to work with them. I think we have a really good relationship going, and I'd hate to see that change. I think we need to keep the county moving forward.
That sounds good. Hey, Fhionna, in the conversations here with the gentlemen, have you come up with any questions from what you've heard? What might our audience be questioning right now?
Yeah, well, I think what I've learned, especially in the runoff, where I've never felt like contention, if you will, with a lot of, well, I shouldn't say never, but I am really curious what you guys what change you want to implement whenever you step into this seat. Because Greg, you've been there for 18 months, you've said 18, and 13. And Scott, you would also be brand new. And so I'm just curious, and this is obviously unbiased. I've spoken with you both. I know you respect each other, but I am curious about what you guys want to go in and make a difference in.
Scott, go ahead.
So I've kind of addressed some of these things in previous ones, but I'll say it again. I think transparency in that office on activities and what we're doing down in that district, I think it could solve a lot of heartache. I know in the last couple of weeks, I've received a few different phone calls about some road issues, and one being a recently resurfaced road. I think that those concerns that those people have, and I mean, I haven't had a chance to visit with Greg about this or not, so I don't know whether they actually talked to him or not, but I would be glad to have that conversation tomorrow when I see him. They have voiced their concerns over the recent resurfacing of a road up north of Highway 9. Not suitable for pulling trailers, dips, and already holes forming in the resurfacing. But I would say that goes hand in hand with some of the things I want to do for, a reporting portal to report these issues, track them in real time, do monthly reporting, in the district so we can actually see what progress is being made. If progress can't be made, make sure the public knows about that. I'm all about transparency. I'd like to see some relationships built a little stronger in our city governments, our tribal governments. I would like to have at least 2 employees back down there.
Okay. That's a pretty good top 3 right there, right? A couple of employees back, transparency, and relationships with the surrounding governments, as I understood. Does that suffice, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay. And Commissioner Rush, first of all, why don't we talk about that a little bit, just because we're on a conversation. Resurfacing of roads, and this particular road that I understood north of us or west of us, up around Highway 9. Are you familiar with what Scott is talking about, and can you fill us in?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've spoke with the gentleman that he has spoke with. The road that he's talking about, New Hope Road and Waco Road. When that road's a couple of the sections got oil and chipped, the guy that did the road got their big trucks off to the edge, and they broke down the edge of the road. We are aware of that. Once an oil chip road gets done, it has to lay from 4 to 6 weeks, so it'll cure. So before we can get any other heavy equipment out there to do the repairs, we're in that waiting period now. And we're aware of I think there's 5 spots that are soft shoulders, and then one bridge, it's got a ridge across it. We've been aware of that. I tried to explain to the gentleman, what our process is, but it's one of them deals I
That's
couldn't
okay.
make him understand. And he's got a concern. I understand that.
Well, and so the idea there, though, is that the topic was transparency. You feel that you've been transparent?
Oh yeah. Anything we do, you can call us up and ask us. You can stop us on the road and visit with us, talk to us. We have nothing in there that they can't look at. They can come and check whatever they want to, talk to us about anything.
Okay.
If it's from
I
funding
do
a project or fixing
I do
a
have one
project.
question just off of that. So we talked
Okay.
about this earlier. I asked about, so the city of Shawnee has a portal, a citizens portal where they upload stuff. So if I had a complaint about my road, how do I make a phone call? Does the county have an outlet? How's the most efficient way to get a hold of you guys, or whenever we have requests?
If it's
Commissioner,
if it's concerns the county, you can call our administration building,
Okay.
or you can contact each one of our commissioners. We all have public emails or county emails. They can contact us through there. Or if it's a district issue, you can call our district barn, and we do have I believe it's a Facebook page that they can get on and contact us that way if they can't get us by phone or by our emails. But we have several different ways that we are in contact with all of our constituents.
And I believe
Yes, thank you for that. And that's always so good.
um,
There.
Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's Pottawatomie is the website.
Pottawatomie County OK.gov.
Pottawatomie There we are. And the reason that I pull it up is, Scott, I want to give you props. You were the one who actually took the initiative to get a website going, weren't you, a few years ago?
Correct.
And so if you want to check out your county government, this is the website here. You have the different positions, different commissioners, just about anybody you might want to contact, you can contact through the website, which is nice to see. There's our county clerk. And guys, bear with me. I'm playing with that because I did it for the first time earlier today. But so there's the website as well. So Commissioner Rush, let's go back to you now and hear what new things you would like to try to implement. We had heard transparency, the reporting portals, which are so important, Scott, and relationship building from Scott. County Commissioner Rush, tell us what you would like to see happen over the next few years.
Well, transparency is a must in county government. We don't want to try to we call it misrepresent ourselves. We'll want to be as public as possible, but I think we need to educate our younger youth a little bit more about our programs that we have, our government. We've been involved with you, Daniel, on that 5th grade class program. I think that's an excellent deal. I would like to see that even get better, maybe a little older group coming in. I think if we educate our youth, it's going to seem more transparent to people in the future. Because they just don't know. They just don't know what our government does. And, that's our fault for not teaching our kids, but I would like to see us kind of implement more of an education about our county government.
Education and transparency, I agree, hand in hand. Okay, Scott, what do you see as the greatest challenge in District 2 right now, aside from roads? Let's not talk about roads. Let's talk about the challenge that you see in the district.
I would say housing. We've seen a lot of change in District 2 over our last 10, 12 years. I mean, I took a stroll out through there not long ago and just was reminiscing on the times where, houses weren't out there and the ones that are there, but affordable housing, for people. I see, camper trailers and all kinds of different things. I'd like to see, our county benefit from some, funded housing I know there used to be projects through COCA back in the day where you could get funding for a first-time home builder, and you had to put so much work into it. I mean, something along that lines would be great. I mean, not something extravagant, but just the bare necessities of what people need. And there's no better feeling than a good home to live in.
Agreed. Good answer. Actually, housing all in our area is tough. I was just listening to some of the rental numbers, and man, I just don't know how families do it. But we're all pretty tenacious as we get older. Okay, Greg, what about you, man? What do you feel is the biggest obstacle now, aside from roads, in your district?
Well, I'd have to agree with Scott on the housing. We do have a housing authority here in Pottawatomie County that will assist some of these lower income families with, a low interest loan. We support that program as much as we can. And I know there in Shawnee, there's a homeless problem they've been dealing with. I would like to be able the county to help them in some manner to get these folks with affordable tiny homes, small homes, something of that nature. but and I'm not here just to help the rural people in our district. I represent everybody in the county, and I want to help, the bigger cities with their homeless problem, the rural area with housing and transportation. So I think if we could work on that, we would see a little bit better future for our county.
Fhionna, are you familiar with the districts? Do you think that young voters are even familiar with districts for the county?
No, I will not, but I do want to touch on something about what you said, Commissioner Greg Rush, about how you don't want to emphasize too much on the rural community. But at the same time, I do kind of feel like that's a county commissioner's like sweet spot. It's amazing whenever I just went with some of my friends door knocking through this past election and just seeing how they have to you service individuals that live lives that I can't even comprehend and live down roads that I can't even imagine driving on. So it is a gem that you are able to connect with those rural communities. And so I guess that is something that I'm curious about too, because city government, we know the mayors, they're in the city, but I think the people in the city kind of forget that there are a lot of lives outside of that little city bubble. And so I am really curious about but I mean, I guess both of you, how you're looking to further that connection, because I think, I don't know if county government has also gotten, no, they haven't gotten, has the wards, have they changed? I guess that's a simple question. I doubt I would ask you that, because I know state reps, some of those areas have, in the cities are the county wards the same as they always
Yeah.
have been?
They would come on.
Or with
Go ahead.
They can change. The county districts can change with the next census if the population gets lopsided. Where there's more in one district than the other, then they can move the district lines. But that won't happen until a census comes out.
So that's a fun fact.
And you may have misunderstood me. I want to represent everybody in the rural area, but a lot of the people from the county think that's what the commissioners do. They're just roads and bridges. They're out in the rural area.
That's
we
true.
need to represent the people inside the bigger cities, like inside Shawnee, Bethel Acres. We've been talking about the expo center with the city of Shawnee and the community in the county. We're there. The county's there to represent everybody, not just the city of Shawnee, not just the county. We're here for everybody. So I want to represent everybody in the best manner I can.
So we're going to transition to that, because that's a big topic for county, city, and other interests, is the Expo Center. And growing up, I always thought, the county fair, Expo Center, I always attributed it to the county. Can you tell us the county's perspective, Commissioner Rush, on how the Expo Center is handled now, and what the vision is of the current commission for the handling of the Expo Center, whether it's all been worked out or not? What is the vision for it?
Well, we recently have mediation and had some executive sessions with them. So there's things I can't say, but the city of Shawnee, they do own the Expo Center. The SCCDA has been an authority of the city, and our Pottawatomie County has worked with the SCCDA. We've had several board members at seats from the county that would sit on that board. There has been some issues of the facility, needing repairs, needing some change in management. So we're in the talks of it right now. A few days there'll be some news come out on that. But the county standpoint, if it comes to it, the county will run the fairgrounds, take the fairgrounds, purchase the fairgrounds, whatever it takes, or the Expo Center. We want to keep this up and running. And I believe the city of Shawnee wants to do the same. We just got to find medium ground for all of us that's good for us, financially good for both sides. And everybody's been working hard at this for the last several weeks to try to get this done. We don't want to lose this. In my opinion, we can't lose this. And by state statutes, we're required to have a county fair, a county free fair. So we're going to have a free fair. It's going to happen. Everybody's just, they don't know what's going to happen right now, but in a few days we'll have the news of what the changes are going to be.
That's always good to hear. And so, Scott, you being in the sheriff's department for close to 20 years now, correct?
Almost 22.
Tell us from a sheriff's department perspective about how safe is our county? How safe is living or being a resident in Pottawatomie County now? And are there some things that need to change with that?
Well, everything boils down to money. And I mean, we could use 6 more patrol deputies and at least 4 more investigators to keep up. And I will tell you, when I first started my career, we had 8 deputies. That was it.
Wow.
And I often worked this county by myself, bouncing from one side to the other, taking call after call after call, and sometimes working 16-hour shifts. So I've seen a lot of advancements. We also have an increase in population, a lot more businesses, a lot more residents. We also have a lot of outside influence too. And if we don't make a change, I mean, we literally took more calls than Oklahoma County and Cleveland County in one given year. This has been about 1.5 years ago that we looked into this. We're doing our best. The county sheriff is doing their best. The new sheriff that comes in January will be looking at the same thing. It's going to come down to manpower, how much you're going to work your employees for the salary that they get. So, because by statute, they can only make so much money. The sheriff only makes so much money. Elected officials can only make so much money based on serviceability.
I think that's a great leeway into, okay, well, money. And we have passed some things that have gotten some pools of money in other areas. I know part of the 1 cent sales tax also goes to the sheriff's department, so that helps. But Scott, how do we solve that problem if we need 10 more officers, four detectives and 6 new deputies? I mean, is it even possible to solve that problem? If so, what are the ideas?
I'm not really sure there's a sound solution to it. We could always take money out of the 1 cent sales tax, but I look at that just like I know that the commissioners that are currently there and the ones in the past, they look at that as a saving grace to situations that may arise. We don't want to go spending all the money, that we have in savings. I know the last dollar amount that I heard was a little over $7 million in there. We've made some transactions, so I'm not sure exactly where we're at with that, but that's okay. And it's fine and dandy to have a pot of money to go to, but we can't make that a habit every time. I mean, if we did that, we wouldn't have that nice fund to, in a huge disaster to bail us out if we needed it. We're only getting so much, but I will tell you that the future is a lot brighter. Greg had mentioned some of the the software that was purchased or services that were purchased for the assessor's office in assessing property. I can tell you that property is being assessed at a more accurate rate than it has ever in probably Pottawatomie County history. So I remember a number that Fhionna gave out the other day, the county assessor, that I was actually kind of shocked about how much money that she was talking about it being projected, which would be significantly more money than what we would have had in the past. So I'm looking forward to see what that might be. Mm-hmm. The sheriff's budget we've always asked for what we need and not receiving what we need within reason, because we do all have to work together and everybody's willing to shift and make compromises, or we cut back on something that is not necessarily a necessity. But I think with this proper assessment of property, we might be able to expand a little bit more in the future when we get those new numbers in and what's available.
I love to hear that. Way to go, Fhionna. Good job for the county assessor. I think many in our county have felt that way for a while. Like, what? But Greg, that brings up a tough question. As a sitting commissioner, I'm sure you're well aware that it would be better to have 6 new deputies and 4 detectives. That's a lot of manpower and that's a lot of cost. I don't think I'm wrong thinking that some of that money, the single cent sales tax, goes to the sheriff's department and to those needs. And I also want to point out, I mean, savings is what did save after the tornado. So I understand we got to save some money, but that's the kind of thing you have to deal with, Greg. What is your thoughts on the sheriff's department and the funding of the sheriff's department at the level it is now, but compared to what it really needs as far as officers go?
Well, right now, currently, our budgets that we have for the whole county, the county sheriff's department gets 20% of that budget. I would love to have more money for them. I think last year I got to sit in on my first budget for the county to be set. And I think I can remember each budget that was proposed, we got cut, or we cut them, I think, 10% of what they asked for. The sheriff's office is just like any other office. They need more funding. We understand that, but we have to cut the budgets. That's just our job. We have to kind of make our money last, you know. But the sheriff's office this year, they're going to have access to what they call the Sheriff's Fund Grant Act, I believe is the proper name. And Potawatomi County is going to qualify for $300,000 of that money. This cannot go to salaries the way we understand it, but it can go into their budget and alleviate some of the other funds that goes to the other expenses. So they will have, you know, more funds for the salaries. So I hope we can work that out and make that work for us if the state keeps that funding coming. And we also have some use tax that we help, like the sheriff's office, with when there comes to their needing cars or equipment, as far as their body cams or any other type of equipment. We can use that use tax also. And
okay, well, I'm going to put you on
if we don't have the funds there, it's tough to make that decision. You know, who's going to get cut. I know general government, we got down to the point last year when it was right down to the very end of, we got to make our budget. We were coming up, I think it was $33,000 short of making our budget work. We had to make a cut right into our general government fund, just to make our budget work for everybody. So it's a tough job, and it's very tense around our commissioner's offices until we do get the budget set for everybody.
When is that period of time, Greg? When do we need to stay away from the city commissioner?
Need to stay clear right now. No, the budgets are being looked over right now, and I think next month we should have everything in place. So everybody, all the elected officials should know what they're going to get or what they're not going to get. I
noticed off the top of your head, you knew the sheriff. It made the 20% number. I'm wondering what are the percentages, you know, and you're spitballing. We're not holding anybody, you know, like you should know this exactly, but can you like tell us what is the sheriff's department, the one that gets the most of
the reason I know that the sheriff's department does get the most. They've got the biggest budget. Out of all of us. Yeah.
Was that percentage 10% or 20? Because I feel like I heard 10 and then
it was 20%.
Yeah. What the difference was, Fhionna, that was 20%, but then every budget that comes in, what Commissioner Rush says, all of them had to be trimmed by it, probably at least 10%, given a round number, to make the budgets work. Scott, I would think you would feel like, yes, the sheriff's department does need to be the department receiving the most money. I mean, as a constituent, I would think that. What is your thoughts on that, and maybe other ways in which the budget might be improved?
So, yes, the sheriff does have the largest budget in county government, and there's a prime reason why. It's
Yeah,
the only office that actually operates 365 days, 24/7. We're constantly wear and tear on our vehicles. We're constantly using fuel.
yeah.
Um, I mean, we're the most operational office in the county government. I mean, we don't get to
I
close
think
down at 5 o'clock.
yeah, we all agree. I think well deserved, and I'm surprised the number's that low. And so let me redirect the question a little bit differently, just saying, what do you think budget wise could be done to help all of the different departments, possibly if you were to be elected?
Well, I think looking at duplicated services in the county government, I know that at the state level, that's a huge issue. Consolidating services that we may have, or um, I think that we could look at lighting issues. I think we could look at a vehicle maintenance program to down vehicles, maximize the use of our vehicles. I think that we could definitely seek out under other funding sources. We should have a dedicated grant writer for our county government. There are so many available grants out there. If we could just write for them instead of writing in silos, we could work together to write those grants, bring in the maximum amount of money, and then we could redirect funds that we're using to do other things with, and supplement those budgets and increase where we need to, and maybe even save money.
Okay, very good. Fhionna?
I feel like I am learning so much from you guys just through this conversation, and am I the only one whose screen is breaking up on everyone?
Yes, you look great on our side.
Okay, good, because you guys are breaking up throughout you talking. And so I get bits and pieces. I get bits and pieces of a little bit of all of it.
Okay, so I'm going to go and we're going to wrap things up. And I want to give both of you, first of all, thanks from Fhionna and myself for doing this with us. It is always so insightful to talk with you. But also we asked, just off the cuff questions to try to create conversation. I'm going to give you both now, if you would like, anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about. I want to give you the platform to do that. And no, if it's something about your opponent, I am going to ask the opponent questions about what you say. So however it goes, I'd like to open it up to you guys. And Scott, let's start with you, man. Is there anything that you would like to say that perhaps we haven't covered?
I just want to say that, my service in county government, it's just been for me. I love serving the citizens of our county. I knew when I was a little boy that I was going to do something along this nature, law enforcement involved in county government. I thought about running for state legislature once before. In fact, got asked one time to consider running for somebody who was vacating a seat. This is my family. I literally can say that it's been so rewarding to me to have this extended family throughout my life, sharing personal experiences and just life events in general. It's been more than just a job for me, and I am just so thankful that God has allowed me to, be able to be a part of everything. And I hope that I get elected on August 27th. This would mean everything to my family, my little boys, and everything. But I've been praying hard for this. I really hope that it happens. And if not, that's God's plan. But I really hope to be elected, and I ask for your vote on August 27th.
Very good. How about you, Commissioner Rush? Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I want to commend Scott for his 22 years service in the Sheriff's Department for Potawatomi County. Most law enforcement officers don't make it that long, so I appreciate what you've done. As far as myself, I've dedicated, my life to, of course, my family first, but I volunteered for the fire department for 22 years. and then come back after about 12 years and did another 2 years to help the local fire department. I've also helped the senior citizens here in my local community. I've served on a lot of local boards here. And when Mr. Randy Thomas decided to retire, the previous commissioner, he approached me with the idea that he thought I would make a good commissioner. Of course, I thought about it and I prayed about it, and this is what I decided to do. I've give this 110%. This is the only job that I have. I do own a personal business, but I have other employees running this business. So the commissioner's job is the only thing I do. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. The new relationships that I have, started with all the elected officials and a lot of the county people. I've loved every minute of it. It's very rewarding to me. So I'm going to continue to dedicate as much time as I can, as long as we get the support and everybody gets out and votes on August the 27th. I appreciate your support, and let's keep this thing going.
It's why we love to do this. Both of you guys are so admirable. Fhionna, you've said it 100 times. I mean, it's hard to put your name in a hat and have people do an election.
Well, and I do want to say this too. I'm learning so much about you both, and you both have such different skill sets in many different ways. And so I'm very proud to be learning from both of you individuals, and just thank you for everything you have done. Scott, with your service and your grant writing experience, I think that is a superpower to have that. And then Commissioner Greg Rush, I love Randy, and I've loved the work that he has done. And so for him to come to you, a local business owner who does connect with the rural individuals outside of city limits, I think that that's just so important. And so I feel like I'm learning so much that I don't have a ton of questions for you guys. So thank you so much. And I'm really eager to see what happens on August 27th. And again, with you, Scott, I'm praying for both of you, and I'm praying for this election. And I know God's hand is in this. So I'm excited for sure.
And so, Shawnee, it's our turn now, all of us. If you don't vote, we all lose. And that's because the vote's a privilege. And on August 27th, that's Tuesday, August 27th, we all need to get out and choose one of these two great individuals to represent us on the county commission, along with some municipal individuals as well. Get out and vote on August 27th. We can all agree on that, I bet, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please vote. Yeah.
Yes.
Scott Hawkins,
well, thank you guys so much.
Yes. Greg Rush, thank you both so much for joining us. And I hope that everybody has a great evening. Good night, everybody.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Good night.
Good night.